one of the problems of the large language models is hallucinations. And one of the good things about Magisterium AI is that it quotes the sources. So you have somewhere you can double check the information. And that's something that's very important when you're trying to get information through in AI. Oftentimes, it'll give you information that looks fairly correct, but then you go and find out that it's fake information. They've been having this problem even like lawyers quoting from unexistent cases. And so I'm wondering, has this ever come up with Magisterium AI? Has anyone ever noticed like some kind of hallucination here and there that needs to be corrected? And in the newer language models, with the reasoning, it's basically kind of a feedback loop where it's double checking its own information. And sometimes that can help and give better results. At the same time, I've also been reading that sometimes that feedback loop just makes it a little bit more sophisticated in justifying the answer that it's giving you.
We started Magisterium AI because we learned that Catholics were using ChatGPT. And we knew that ChatGPT is an amazing product, and I'm deeply grateful to Sam and OpenAI for creating it. Obviously, we wouldn't have Magisterium AI today. We wouldn't have started this project in the first place if we didn't have access to that technology. But it had this propensity to hallucinate, make things up, and it certainly wasn't transparent when it was generating an answer, what it was grounding that answer in. So we started Magisterium AI as a research kind of project to see how effectively we could mitigate the downside of ChatGPT, the hallucinations, the lack of transparency. And we found that you could, if you gave it enough source documents, enough context, the hallucination rate dropped. And what we found is the more documents we gave it, I mean, logically, the hallucination rate went down, because when people are asking, these questions, and there was, we call a very long tail of possible questions, as we continued to enrich that, the number of documents, it was able to find more documents to use in answering, and that helped. Certainly, you mentioned as well improvements in large language models' reasoning capabilities, and this has definitely helped as well. I mean, as the large language models become smarter, they're coming up with new techniques to mitigate hallucinations at a model level. And of course, that works to our benefits. The current model that we're on right now, the reason we use it predominantly is because it's the best when it comes to hallucinations, frankly. So certainly hallucinations are always going to be there with large language models. They're non-deterministic. There's no way to crack that. Hopefully, that we'll find a way to do that outside of the purview of generative AI. But for the time being, all we can do is mitigate the risk. So the risk of hallucination, you'll never get it to 100%, but you can get it pretty close to zero. And we feel pretty confident with where we're at now, but there's still work to do. And this is one of the reasons why I feel expanding the amount of Catholic theological and philosophical works is so important. Going beyond the Magisterium, because the Magisterium doesn't answer every possible question, and certainly isn't very useful with a lot of people's contextual situations. And so the more that we can digitize, the more we can get into these libraries and digitize these texts, some of which haven't been open in hundreds of years, but may have something very profound to say. The more we can go in and digitize that, the better the AIs will be able to offer answers which are faithfully grounded.